So if anybody has any questions, comments, whatever, um, let me know, chime in, ask away. So this is my regular workstation, like kind of where I ideally, if I'm at my desk, this is where I'm kind of trading from. And a lot of you have seen this stuff before, but I wanted to go over some of the kind of more nuanced stuff. This over here is the DOM, and it's repopulating right now, but essentially the DOM is showing me the resting orders. So this white line is where price is. These are the orders that are sitting on the books. This is showing me how the orders are being added or subtracted. In the middle, it's showing me what's being executed. And then on the side, it's showing me a filtered view of what I have deemed to be significant orders. And it's just highlighting depending on the size, right? So here you've got 1.2 and mil, and there's 64K getting that has been market bought out of those resting orders, right? And I just reopened it. So normally once it's been running for a while, this will all be full of numbers. It just doesn't go back historically. This is a footprint chart. So this is giving me the open interest, which is telling me whether for each candle there's more contracts or less contracts. So that's how I know if, for example, we're getting a lot of price movement. I'm looking at open interest to see, okay, are these shorts that are getting liquidated or stop run, or are these buyers jumping into the market? This is the CVD bar, the cumulative volume delta, which we've kind of discussed before. This is normally telling me the tick size, which is splitting up. Right now I have this set to BTC, so when you see 35.4, that's 35.4 Bitcoins that were longed at this level. This is a tick-based chart, and what that means is the bars move depending on price movement. So if price doesn't move, it's not going to print a new bar. And down here you can see this bar took 20 minutes, this bar took 1 second, this bar took an hour and 46 minutes. So this gives me just a slightly different view. These dots are the liquidations. These lines are just automatically pointing out when there's a significant discrepancy in buying versus selling. This makes absolutely no sense right now because Bitcoin has been not moving. So essentially, when you look at the chart, you can see that we've just been chopping, consolidating. There's really no movement. All these people are getting liquidated when nothing is actually happening. At this point, these are my VWAPs. So I've got weekly, monthly. These two are my dailies, and they're split up. One has all of the orders, and the other one only has orders over 250K. And again, not something I'm really going to spend a whole lot of time looking at right now because price isn't moving. What I really wanted to focus on was the kind of market profile and volume profile charts, which is really where I kind of start looking at stuff, right? So this is showing me where price has spent time. So these larger structures, each box represents a price point within a 30-minute area, right? So if you've seen the charts that I post with letters, A is the first 30 minutes of the trading session, B is the next 30 minutes, so on and so on. And this is basically going to give me where has price been. And then on the right, this is volume. This is giving me the delta for each price action. So for example, if we go to yesterday, for example, you've got at 25K, you got a lot of people buying. And they weren't able to break up. So once price comes back down, that's an easy short. Because when you've got a situation like that, and we can look at it on the footprint, will make a lot more sense, right? You've got 0 people selling. Nobody wants to sell at 22,500 when Bitcoin looks like it's going to shoot up to 1 million, right? So 0 market selling, heavy market buying. You got 39 and 37 Bitcoins, and that's just on Bybit USD. So that doesn't even include their spot. It doesn't include their USDT trading, and that's just one exchange, and it's not the biggest exchange, right? So 39 Bitcoin at 25K, these are $1 million orders, right? This right here is closer to 2.5 million. You know, you've got millions being bought in across all the exchanges. You can probably assume somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 million above 25,150 with very little corresponding shorts, and the price isn't breaking up. So once the price starts coming down, right, you can kind of see this is shorts coming in. See this blue bar? This bar right here is price and traders saying, okay, these guys tried, they failed, now we're going to short the crap out of this, right? And you see a very large uptick in shorts, price comes down, you get your retest, which is very normal, and then price dumps. Once you lose VWAP, it's pretty much game over. Down here, the liquidations really crank up. And then when you get down to the bottom here, you see kind of a different thing, right? You get zeros on the other side. This is support. Orders are waiting there, and it bounces, right? Then we get chop, right? So when you look at these market profile charts, this is a merged profile. So this is August 6th to August 13th, and you can see it got pretty close. You've got a POC from a while back. Let's see. So that's a POC from July 31st, which actually served as the support for this bounce. And it's pretty close to where this merged profile value area low is, right? So essentially what you're looking at is if you want upside to continue, you really need to have this, 23.7 hold, right? Because if it doesn't, your likelihood of coming back down into this 22,500 is pretty high, right? There are certain rules that you can kind of play, one of which is the initial balance. So these pink lines right here, that's initial balance. One rule would say if you open outside of the prior day value area, so for example right here on August 4th, we opened below value, we had a very narrow initial balance. You can expect price to move on a day like this, and it did, right? It went all the way through the prior day's value and ended up closing above it, right? Once that happens, if we hold above this value over here, you can expect more upside. Now, in terms of today, what we have is we have price that opened pretty much exactly at the point of control for yesterday. We're well inside. yesterday's value. We have a wide initial balance. In all likelihood, what we're looking at here is a day of chop, right? We get a sweep. I think on a day like today, as much as I want the market to just nuke, a sweep of these levels, as long as this area right here, the 23.7 on Bing holds, that's a long. We can take it as a mean reversion back up to this, 24K level. But essentially, until we break out of this area right here, until we start trading clearly above 24.3 or clearly below 23.7, you don't want to be putting, large bets, large long-term bets on. You want to take the position that we're going to chop, it's going to mean revert, and wait for that to break. And eventually, if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're wrong on a scalp and it doesn't reverse and it doesn't mean revert and you lose the level, you just close it and you jump on the train. Because a move outside of these areas is very likely to be very significant. But what this is telling me is the market is happy with where we are. Buyers and sellers are happy with where we are. As it stands, this moment, there's not a whole lot of directional conviction in terms of moving price away from this level. And so the likelihood is that we just continue to chop. And you just have to understand that, right? So when you look at the price, you can see that the levels are pretty well respected. Once we, for example, yesterday, once we accepted inside of the prior day's value area, which is right here, boom. Just dropped. So these charts aren't really meant to kind of give you specific entries. It's meant to more so give you targets. It's meant to give you areas of interest. It's meant to allow you to understand what the market is doing. What I see when I look at these charts is I see these long tails up here. I don't see a whole lot of conviction to take this price up any higher. I think if it comes back up, I'll likely re-short it. I haven't, these single tail, this single print down here and this single print down here, if you're bullish and you want price to go up, you want these levels to be touched again. So if I am somebody that wants Bitcoin to hit 30 grand in the next month, I would much rather see these levels taken out, fixed, because what this is telling me right here is that there's an incomplete auction and that people that want filled at these levels down here have not been completely filled, which means that there's still liquidity down there. There's still traders that want in for the upside. And ideally, if you're bullish, you want to fix these. My plan for today will be to wait for that to happen, play the mean reversion scalp. If it fails and the price just dumps below it, I'll hop on the short and short down to 22.5. If that is not hit and we break above this level, then I'll probably be looking for a scalp up to retest some of these areas, but ultimately likely still looking for a short back down, unless I see much more volume. But when you look at this over here, it's pretty clear that these FOMO buyers just keep getting wrecked, and I suspect that that'll keep happening. So volume profile is giving you an idea of where traders are spending time, where liquidity is sitting. what the market is doing, right? So if you have a day like this, for example, a double distribution day, you have a really long day. These are trend days. These are big move days. Right here we have a value day. It's chop. Obviously, price can shoot down or shoot up and be gone. But until you get above or below this value area, you really have to assume that we're just going to chop around and the market's just as happy to sit and be where it's at. I don't think there's a whole lot of people on, but if anybody is on, does anybody have any questions or anything else? It doesn't necessarily have to be about volume profile